There we go. How you doing, Cameron? We're live. I forgot to unmute myself.
Ooh. Oh, okay. Hello.
Welcome back, everybody. The WVW. We've got Vici Gaming up against Newbee. Best of 3 here. I'm joined by Baseskip. How are you doing, Baseskip?
I'm doing pretty well. I'm looking forward to this one because I feel like we haven't seen Vici or Newbee in a while. Like I keep making this comment every time we cast a Chinese game together, but like with what's going on with Ace, it just feels like Vici and Newbee and stuff, we're not actually seeing a whole lot of them.
You can go a good like 2 weeks without getting to see a team play, which is the complete opposite in the Western team. If you have a favorite team, you could see them play almost every day or at least every other day.
Team pick.
And you choose any matchup, right? And you can see that matchup.
Yeah, if you wait patiently enough. But in China, every big matchups like a Newbee versus Vici Gaming will happen only once a week or something, if that. Luckily for us today, we've got 2 great matchups in a row. We had IG versus Vici Gaming, now Vici Gaming versus Newbee. With IG just back from Styler, this part of the bracket had to be stalled. This is a quarterfinal, but it does feel a bit like the actual final, because this is the 2 best teams left in the tournament. Like, the winner of this will verse a team called Talent, who I have no idea who they are, and the winner of that match will meet HGT in the grand finals, which is ZSMJ's team. So this does have the kind of feel of an actual finals, because the winner of this, in theory, should win the tournament.
Yeah. Do you know what's the format for the grand finals? Is it best of 5 or is it best of 3?
I'm not sure. The grand finals, so all the matches up to the grand finals are played today. So today's like the quarterfinal and the semi-final, and the grand final's not until like the 1st of May, so maybe it's a best of 5.
Okay.
It's at least a best of 3, but
yeah. Oh, I'm just thinking that in a best of 3, maybe you give HGT, a chance of beating Newbee or Vici, but in a best of 5, I don't know if they stand much of a chance. But anyway, exciting match ahead of us regardless. Vici versus Newbee should be good. Both teams have been looking really strong.
Yep. Yeah, when we do get to see them ahead. Well, Newbee kind of hit or miss. They've been looking strong for the most part, but they actually lost in WPC the other day to CIS 2-0. So I don't know what happened there. CIS have not been playing well in the Summit Chinese qualifiers. They're 0-3 against teams like Dreamtime, New Element, and I think HGT, but they somehow 2-0'd Newbee the other day. So
didn't they take a game off DK as well?
Yeah, that was like that was the game where Black played Pudge, and it was like right before DK left for Star Ladder. DK, I don't know how seriously they were taking it, but it was still a win's a win.
I don't know. Yeah, I think a win's a win, and like bringing up the Pudge pick as well to say that it's not legit.
Well, it was a Pudge pick from CIS, so
yeah. Well, I think Dendy and Balls would have a few words with you about whether or not Pudge is a legit competitive pick.
When you're beating DK with it, it's definitely viable.
Definitely legit.
And Pudge kept Navi in TI3, so.
Oh, I don't want to think about that. Let's. I don't think Newbee want to think about that.
Yeah, this is
either.
Yeah, this is the exact team that suffered that defeat, pretty much. Tongbi, as I like to call them. It's you see this team and you think, okay, Tongfu replaced Sancheng with Zhao 8. This should be like one of the best teams in China. Like, to me, this on paper is the best team in China, maybe after DK, but they haven't really shown it yet. They've
definitely improved from when the team was first formed, though. I mean, I remember all the discussion when Newbee had just formed. It was the new dream team. They immediately lost in, what was it, Cena Cup? I think it was. Like, they immediately dropped out of the tournament in the first round. And then everybody was like, haha, new dream team, like, as if, etc., etc. And then since then, they've actually, they've shaped up a little bit. They've got some practice in, and they are looking like they're in that tier 1, tier 1.5 out of the Chinese scene. And especially with IG looking a little bit shaky recently, I think, they're definitely up there.
We'll see what's going to be coming our way in this game. We can look towards Newbee getting the first pick Batrider. Interesting to see Batrider go through the pool, banning out even the Sand King. And when I have seen Newbee play, they have been running a lot of the Sand King. So I think this is Vici Gaming a bit of a respect ban, but giving up Batrider as a first pick is always a risky business. And that's something which Newbee will be happy to grab for themselves.
Yeah, definitely. Especially against the Ember Spirit as well. All you need against that hero is just a few good reliable stuns, a nice initiation, and he becomes a little bit more manageable. Not to say that I think the hero is okay. I think I'm still a big proponent of Ember Spirit nerfs, but Batrider is a hero that
I
does
think
deal with
minor,
it
yeah,
well.
some minor Ember Spirit nerfs. I don't know. I made the comparison to someone like PL back when everyone was complaining every day about PL, and they were complaining more because they were sick of seeing the hero than the hero actually being that imbalanced. Then he did get nerfed, and guess what? He didn't need a nerf, so he became completely useless.
5 seconds.
Now you never see PL.
Yeah, we never ever see PL
Not that
anymore.
I'm complaining. I feel like whenever I see PL, I'm like, ooh, we get to see a PL, and then I'm like, oh, well, it was not very exciting.
Yeah, all variety is always good. I think the most frustrating thing about Ember Spirit for me is when you end up in those games where nobody has any outer towers left. The Ember Spirit has 2 Battle Furies and a Daedalus, and the enemy team tries to push up onto the high ground. Everything gets spammed down by Sleight of Fist. They try and push up onto the high ground again. Yeah, back off, repeat, until somebody makes a mistake, gets picked off, and then the game ends. Like,
the problem is the team with the Ember Spirit can't push either, because Ember Spirit's not a good high ground pusher, so neither team can push.
And stalemates are never fun.
Yeah. But Vici, how did this hero get through to 3rd pick? Centaur Warrunner somehow still in the pool, not picked up. Normally this is a hero Vici Gaming would have picked up in their first 2 picks, but it gets through to the 3rd pick, and well, I'll quite happily take it. So I understand the Elder Titan being banned out because it does synergize disgustingly well with the Ember Spirit, but well, we'll see. With that said, I can see why Newbee banned the 2 heroes they did. Elder Titan plus Ember Spirit's really filthy, and the Shadow Demon obviously synergizes great with the Mirana and also a decent counter to a Batrider. So I understand their 2 bans, but it's just surprising to see Centaur go so deep into a draft.
Yeah, I definitely agree. The Shadow Demon is also nice with the Ember Spirit. Just having 1 defensive support to back up the Ember Spirit means that he can sort of get away with making 1 or 2 positioning mistakes in a fight, and then he can get bailed out by a disruption or a grave or a living armor or a shield. You know, one of the 4 defensive supports, Dazzle, Abaddon, Tree, or Shadow Demon can always be good to have along with him, and that is something that we've seen a lot of teams do when they've started running the Ember Spirit really heavily, just making sure that they have the 1 defensive support along for the ride.
Because Shadow Demon doesn't directly counter a Batrider, generally speaking, because you can still pull the target when they're disrupted and kill them after they come out of the disruption, but the thing is with an Ember Spirit, he comes out of the disruption and then he just fire remnants away. Most heroes, they come out and, well, they're still dead after the lasso, so Shadow Demon does synergize really well there. But Vici Gaming for now, pick up a Weaver, which most likely is going to be Silas here for the safe lane. They put Super on the solo mid Ember Spirit. Super's played a couple games of Ember Spirit that I can recall. Haven't seen him. The only real big Ember Spirit that stands out to me in China is Ferrari. But we'll see how Super does on the Ember Spirit here.
And support Mirana.
Yeah, support Mirana. Oh, it's a playmaker here. I guess it suits FY if it is going to be FY on the Mirana.
Yeah, they do definitely need a setup stun if they're going to be able to punish this Batrider in the off lane at all. Like, relying on randomly landing an arrow to kill him is not going to be a very good plan. So
there's still lots like Rubik, Vengeful Spirit. Yeah. I think you're pretty good as far as options go.
And Newbee, go for the Morph, who we've been seeing a lot of recently. He's definitely making a pretty big resurgence.
Yeah, and every time I see this hero, I'm always like, okay, he's doing really well. So I think we may be seeing a lot more of Morphling going up and well into TI4.
5 seconds remaining.
I think that's what you compare it to, like heroes that for a while people thought were like your go-to kind of carries, like the Naga Siren. I think teams are realizing like Naga Siren is actually not that dangerous necessarily.
Yeah, there's definitely counterplay against the Naga, and people are becoming more used to it. I mean, it's similar. You brought up the Phantom Lancer back when PL was in his prime, and people started figuring out the really specific counterplay measures that you had to go for to be able to deal with it. Like, we started seeing the really well-constructed aggressive tri-lanes. I think it was like SD, Dazzle, Kunkka, stuff like that, to try and just catch the Coddle, kill him, put pressure on the Phantom Lancer. And the same kind of stuff is happening now with the Naga. I think Na'Vi showed that they're pretty comfortable putting like a Queen of Pain mid against the Naga Siren, and that was actually a really nice way to handle it. So people are getting more used to it, I think, as well.
And the problem is when the patches come out, they're not like always instantly. So teams will have figured out the hero, and then it gets nerfed on top of that. So we could get 6.81 with like a Naga Siren nerf, and then Naga Siren will completely disappear again. That to me is the worry, because that's exactly what happened to PL. Like teams had figured it out, and then he still got nerfed when he didn't need to be nerfed. And like, not to criticize Ice Frog's balancing. I love what he does with the game as a whole and the direction it's taking, but sometimes I feel like sometimes there's nerfs built just around viewer and player complaints, even when the results don't suggest the nerf is needed.
Well, the thing as well is with Dota, you've got so many heroes playing multiple different roles. Like, I think Naga Siren is still a perfectly viable support, and if you leave a Batrider through into the pool, it's like one of the best counter-initiating supports in the game against the Bat, but then you also have to, every change you make to its skills, you're both changing the balance of support Naga and you're changing the balance of carry Naga, and that makes life pretty difficult. You know, even the same thing with something like Shadow Shaman. He drifts between mid and support a little bit, and trying to change one aspect without changing the other one too much is extremely difficult. So Ice Frog has a tough time there, I think.
We'll see a Storm Spirit last pick. That'll be Moo's hero for the mid lane. So Storm versus Ember mid. Bit of a just neutral matchup. It's going to become down more to the support rotations and what happens there. So there's an Enchantress on the Newbee side. Banana, one of the kind of top junglers as far as the Chinese scene is concerned. And that's where Jiawei likes to play towards that Banana jungle, picking the Enchantress in the Chen quite frequently. So you can look towards him ganking this mid Ember Spirit, but it's not the easiest lane to gank. At least, if you're bringing the line along, it can be. But just the Storm and the Enchantress, not going to kill an Ember Spirit that easily, especially if he goes for a Flame Guard build.
Yeah, once he gets the Flame Guard up, or especially once he gets level 6, then he becomes very difficult to deal with. Yep. But the other nice thing for Newbee is that all of their solos are pretty self-sufficient, so if they want to just get the Morphling off to a good start in the safe lane, and then he can just pick up some treads or whatever he needs to sort of match up against the Centaur reasonably, then they can just start roaming here, there, and everywhere. And they could even maybe look to head up to the opposing safe lane, but they would probably have to wait until the Batrider has level 6 just to have enough lockdown to kill the Weaver.
Yep, well, we'll introduce our teams now in our quarterfinal between Newbee and Vici Gaming. On the Radiant side, it will be Team Newbee. We've got Hao playing the Morphling and the Farming Role, got King J on the support Lion, got Moo playing the solo mid Storm Spirit, and then we've got Banana, the jungle Enchantress. Finally, in the off lane, Jiawei, the captain for the team, is going to be playing the off lane Batrider.
Yeah. And over on Vici Gaming, we've got Sylar handling the carry role on the Weaver. We have FY on the support Mirana. Heading towards mid, Super is going to be on the Ember Spirit, Fenrir on the Shadow Shaman, and that leaves RTK handling the Centaur in the offlane.
We'll see how RTK does. Last game, not the best center offlane play from WVW. It is a lot harder playing the offlane on that dire side. Do give just a natural edge to the Radiant, but these dire supports, they're also not that great. Shadow Shaman and Mirana have a lot of killing power, but they're also very kind of greedy and farm-centric supports in a lot of ways, so we'll see how Vici Gaming play around having two supports who both need farm and both need levels.
Yeah, one thing that's worth pointing out is that Vici Gaming have actually set up the Centaur on bottom lane really nicely. Actually, RTK got both of their early Observer Wards, so it should be, that makes life a little bit easier for him, because I think in that game YYF didn't, either he had a ward and it got dewarded, or he just didn't have any vision to work with. So
yeah, his ward got immediately dewarded, and that was like the end of the offlane for him. But this time around, I think ROTK ran down here and immediately planted this Observer Ward, because this is already looks like it was planted some time ago. YYF made the mistake of not planting the ward right off the bat. As Impale, King Jax are going for the level 1 Impale. Not the Hex at level 1, which is pretty powerful, but it's a kind of negligible. Either way, I guess the Impale's magic damage, and against the Stout Shield of the center, a lot of those right clicks will be blocked in general.
Yeah, and especially with it being just a 2v1, King J has a lot of experience to work with, so I don't think the skill build really matters too much. He's going to get his level 2 pretty quickly here.
But now, Enchantress Banana helping out this mid lane. He's been spamming C-tier shockwaves on Super at this mid lane, and this is really crippling him because he's used a Tango. He's trying to rush a bottle, and this shockwave spam is going to cripple him. He's completely out of HP here. He can't even afford to be taking another hit. He's ferried out a Sal for himself. Oh dear. That's going to slow down the bottle even further. But I kind of agree he had to do this to stay alive in this mid lane.
Yeah, that's a pretty big loss for him. All he just has to sit back and wait for this thing to disappear. The one nice thing, I guess, is the regen aura has pushed the creep wave under the tower a little bit, so he should be able to snag some CS that way. But it's like a minor win after getting all of your HP spammed out.
You still got to last down the tower, which is not always the easiest thing. But he pops the Flame Guard now. He's gone 2 Flame Guard. Hasn't got Searing Chains or Sleight of Fist yet. He'll wait and see what happens. If a gank comes in, he might go the Searing Chains. If he needs to use the Sleight of Fist defensively, he can do so. But for now, just holding on to those skill points. So nice seeing something like that. Enchantress going to get a regen rune. Has double Centaurs, one about to expire, but ganking any of these lanes actually does get the D-ward off. So that means they don't know where the Enchantress is rotating. So nice play by Newbee, figuring out where that Observer Ward's going to be. And it looks like with this, Enchantress wants to get a First Blood mid.
Yeah, Batrider's just kind of hanging around here, but I think he's been seen, so I don't know what they're going to accomplish here.
Well, he may be able to get a kill. They're going with the pull. It looks like with the Batrider's extra bit of slow from the Napalm, they can get this. The Sentinel Sun's trying to go in the Searing Chain. Going to deal with the Centaur. I don't think the Centaur's going to get there for a Sentinel Stun. Up the tower, finish him off, but Super's still dead. 1 or 2 more right clicks will finish him off. First Blood goes to Moo. Storm Spirit. Nice little gank. They had to commit a lot to it, but end of the day, killing the Ember Spirit and getting First Blood for your solo mid Storm, well worth it.
I feel like Super just wasn't necessarily playing that safe enough. I mean, he could see the Batrider over on the opposing hill. It's still daytime, and they just had the Enchantress de-ward them bottom lane. So I guess maybe he was convinced that they were just going to try and dive RTK bot, but I don't know. I think he was maybe a little bit too far up there.
That's what you need to see from your Enchantress. Getting these early ganks and rotations successfully. Banana has a smoke still, so he can look for another gank soon. He also knows he didn't even need to use the smoke there mid because of the D-ward. He knew it was completely undetected, rotating in for that backstab. And that's an unusual direction to come from. Normally, when you think you're getting ganked at mid lane, you go loop all the way around and come from behind, from the top side. But coming through the tower like that, not something that Super was expecting.
Yeah, definitely not. And so Newbee off to a pretty good start. Xiao actually going to go back to the offlane here, so feeling like he can profitably apply some pressure to this top lane here. Because he could just go jungle at this point if he really wanted to. It's already got his level 2, level 3, but looks like he's just going to leave it to the Enchantress and stay on the offlane.
Yeah. Vici Gaming supports are immediately going to come zone him out. FY hasn't shot an arrow yet. Femra is going to be out of range for his shackles, but this will just force Xiao back to his tower. I guess with the Enchantress in the jungle, Enchantress doesn't really want to share. Or at least maybe can share that big camp on the far left, but for the most part it's not going to be the easiest thing for Enchantress and Batrider to be in this jungle. So maybe we'll just see Xiao try and just pull this big camp a little bit. Although right now the big camp actually not there. I think it was just farmed up, so not a whole lot he can actually do in this top lane if he's going to get zoned out by the supports.
Yeah, worth also mentioning that Vici managed to get rid of his cheeky ward off to the side, so he doesn't actually have a whole lot of vision to work with here as to where the supports are. So Xiao is just going to have to play really defensively, because there's always a chance that the roster runs a pull and then immediately just runs over, pops out a fog, and they can maybe get a kill.
Paul's coming out, not too sure what's up there. Hal had some words to say, I don't know what he's saying. Maybe he's saying we need to call Merlini is what he's saying. Wonder if they have the Merlini hotline in China.
I'm sure they do. Yeah. Officer Merlini is a global task force, that's for sure.
The International Dota Police. We've got everything unlocked here. It is a 4-minute rune spawning bottom. Super's making his way towards this one. I'm surprised he actually left the lane for this rune, because he has a full bottle. He doesn't actually need the rune. Maybe he was hoping for like something like a DD rune, something like a haste, but illusion rune not going to offer him all that much. And Enchantress is going to actually get there first. So Enchantress does need to be careful, because Centaur rotating in. There is a Sleight of Fist Searing Chains, but Centaur's still too far away for a follow-up, really.
Yeah, he didn't even know where the rune was, right? Because they don't have rune vision right now. So up until this point, he was just kind of running bottom lane a little bit blindly. So
unless Moo like walked top to camp top rune and then came back mid because there was no top rune, that's maybe what happened. If Moo starts, because Moo has vision of the rune, so maybe he knows where it was based on his movement. But that's, I don't know. That's really all I can think of here. But it's one of those things where mid lane heroes you don't actually see getting runes as much just because of the Bottle Crow. Maybe Ember Spirit's probably one of those heroes. Heroes that can push out the lane will get runes, but heroes that just gonna have to sit there farming a bit more statically will not generally get runes.
Yeah, and like you pointed out, he's already got a full bottle, so this isn't even necessarily that valuable to him to grab this right now.
He's missing out on XP and farm. There's like creeps dying here at the mid lane. This melee creep's gonna get denied while he's going. I mean, it's all small things, but realistically, you already gave up first blood. The Storm Spirit's half a level ahead of you. You can't afford to miss out on any more than what's necessary, really. Banana just denies the rune and makes his way immediately back into the jungle. So, yeah, I mean, it was maybe just one creepy miss. It was at least one, maybe a couple, but those little things can add up.
Newbee with an immediate smoke. King J and Banana having a little bit of a discussion. Do we go bot? Do we go mid? Where are we going to gank? Okay, we're going to gank bot.
Yeah, they've got a big creep wave here pushing out. Yeah. This is something which, at the same time, like when you have a big creep wave pushing on the tower and you see the two supports missing as an offlane player, you're often expecting this flank. Like, this is a really common maneuver. And RTK, he's seeing at the tier 2 tower. At least for now. He's going for a bit of a block. If he pushes forward, it could be the death of him. And I like this. He's hiding in the trees now. He has a pretty good idea of what's coming his way, yeah, and he'll avoid this gank. So, smart play from the Vici Gaming offlaner. But at the same time, he can't defend his tier 1 tower.
Yeah, the opposing carry having their Bassi turned on is always a little bit of a clue as well, that the push is coming in, that the dive is maybe approaching. But no, but they still timed this nicely. They got the catapult along for the ride, so pretty easy tier 1 going their way, and how going to pick up the last hit there.
FY shows up as well, because in theory, Newbee could try and pressure the tier 2, but it looks like just Morphling How's going to stay around, and FY not going to be able to offer too much to this lane. He's going to swing back mid if he hits an arrow on Moo. Could look for a kill, does shoot it from afar. Moo going to walk into it.
Oh.
Really nicely played. This is still going to be close. He can still maybe zip out of this one. Nope, just enough damage to bring him down before the stun wears off. Very close to a kill there. Moo had lots of mana to zip out if that stun ever wore off, but it was not the case.
I really don't agree with Fire Remnant being able to be used like that as a nuke. I mean, this is just
Did he stack like all three or something?
Yeah, he just threw all three out instantly and then used them as a 300 damage nuke. I feel like there should be like a 2-second cooldown at the very least on throwing out a Remnant, just so you can't murder supports with it, because that's a lot of extra damage to be gaining at level 6.
Oh
just off one ability.
It's like a mini finger of death almost, in a way. Not quite finger of death level damage, but when you combine it with your Slider Fist plus Searing Chains initiation, it's scary. But FY making the plays happen with the Mirana. He's still hanging around the mid lane, maybe looking for another kill. This time though, Super doesn't have the Fire Remnants. He's got one sitting back there defensively, and apart from that, he's got no other Fire Remnants to play around with.
Yeah, and in the meantime, while the Enchantress is off roaming around a little bit, Xiaowei has been able to get up some good farm. So 1,200 gold along with Tranquil Boots on the Batrider. Things are looking pretty good for him. Both teams really want to reestablish some wards right now, since they were both really blind just a second ago, and that's going to be Banana striking first as far as that's concerned. He is a pretty low level on this Enchantress, though. He had that one successful gank mid, but then he spent quite a bit of time trying to... They got the push done bottom lane, but that has left him a little bit under-leveled.
It's always the worry with Enchantress. Another arrow on Moo! Oh, Super should get this kill. He uses the Fire Remnants aggressively again, and it's another kill. He even had the ward there. The ward had vision of the arrow coming down, but it still hit. He couldn't just... I don't know, panics a bit there. Doesn't ball lightning away, and... Well, that's another kill going the way of Vici Gaming there. Another bit of a misplay coming out from the Newbee solo mid player move.
Yeah, FY really making the plays happen so far this game. Big props to him.
You shoot arrows, you're gonna land some, but I feel like that was more Moo, not the first one was a nice arrow. That second one though should definitely have been dodged.
Xiaowei goes in top lane after getting 4 stacks up on Fenrir, but he just gets shackled and then bursted down. Oh my god.
Apparently, I haven't been seeing many of these Newbee games in the WPC, but apparently Xiaowei's just not been playing all too well. His actual individual play has been really kind of lacking, which is like he's just not playing like how he used to in the LGD team, and that's partly why Newbee haven't been doing as well. So maybe a bit more of that coming from the former LGD offlaner, but he's still farming well. End of the day, he's got 1,300 gold. This Blink Dagger should be up around the 11-12 minute mark.
Yeah, he just got a little bit greedy, honestly. He saw that he had a few stacks up on a squishy support. Didn't really think that help was going to be there in time, but Vici Gaming baited him really nicely. They had the Centaur off on the left, the Weaver off on the right, and they just converged as soon as he made his move.
Newbee go for another smoke gank now. Got Lion, Batrider, and Enchantress all converging. It looks like towards the mid lane, if they go for a wraparound here, they may want to kill Super on this Ember Spirit. Doesn't look like he's got any fire movements. Oh no, he's got one at the tier 2 tower. Yeah, he's got that escape if he doesn't get chain stun. And with the Lion plus Batrider plus Storm, they should be able to chain stun him pretty well here. Batrider no Blink Dagger though, so he can't really go just fire flying in as the first initiator. They need that Lion to start with a Hex, and Ember Spirit just reads this gank. He's left this mid lane for bottom. He sees 3 heroes missing and decides this is too dangerous. They can kill me with Batrider. He also probably worries that Batrider maybe has a Blink. Like, he hasn't seen Batrider in a while. Your first guess is Batrider has Blink. Even though he's 700-800 gold away from it, Vici Gaming don't know that.
Yeah, there's no way for him to know how many stacks were set up in the jungle. Yeah. So this is just conservative play around the normal timing of the Blink Dagger, I think.
Well, speaking of stacks there, Zhao 8 finds an enemy stack here in their jungle and manages to take a little bit of it. Gets him a bit closer to that Blink Dagger that he desperately wants. But
I wonder what kind of build we're going to see from Hao this game. He's just gone for the early game items up until this point, which I think is fine, especially because he's been left alone so much in the lane. He needs to be able to punish whoever's up against him 1v1, but we'll see where it goes from here.
Looks like we're going to see some tower. That's a big arrow. That's a dead banana. Fire Remnant forward here, and King J in trouble as well. There's a haste rune on Super. This means King J's got no way out. The Searing Chain's going to catch up both these two. Moon needs to use his mana carefully. Double kill going to Super on the Ember Spirit. Meanwhile, top lane being pressured here. It looks like there's going to be a kill going the way of the Barrow. They killed the Shadow Shaman. Serpent Wards are down. That was a TP in from Hao's Morphling. So Zhao 8 rotates up top. He tried to TP in the tower, actually cancelled it, and Ember Spirit's still coming. He's invised up. He wants to go for these 2 kills. He's got the Searing Chain. He's going to catch up just the Morphling. Morphling still has plenty of HP and well, not plenty of HP, but plenty of mana to wave out, as well as morph any strength if he needs to. So it looks like they want to go for this tier 1. And with Morphling out of the picture, he almost gets arrowed. Wouldn't have been a... Oh, I think that would have been a kill. That's a max arrow. If that actually hit Morphling, I think he would have gone down there, yeah. It's actually pretty important he dodged it when you look at it like that.
Yeah, I had vision on it for a little while, but that didn't seem to save Moo mid, so
no.
There you go. But overall, really nice for Vici Gaming. They pick up a tower, they give very little in return, aside from the kill on the Shadow Shaman, and Super, despite what was looking like a pretty harsh start, especially with all the pressure from the Enchantress, both the creep and then the gank, he's right back on it.
Yep.
So.
Well, Super, happy to just keep on pressuring this mid lane now. Really nice rotations there. He's got the phase, the wand. Probably see a fast drum of endurance coming out from Super. And it looks like, yeah, Brace is already there on the courier, so drum should not be too far behind. And I feel like Vici Gaming, they've got this good early start here. And with Shadow Shaman on their side, they can take Roshan fairly early. They can take all these tier 1 towers. Somewhat uncontested. Like, top lane, they did get contested for it, but end up getting the tier 1 tower anyways in exchange for a support hero, which is actually... At this stage, I feel like getting the towers is the more important thing to do. And if you lose Shadow Shaman to do so, it's not really that devastating.
Yeah, and the early towers are actually very valuable for both teams because those first core items are still sort of coming along. RTK still doesn't have his Blink Dagger just yet. Obviously, Super still wants a little bit more farm to flesh out his core items before he can really teamfight. And the Weaver is still trucking along towards that Lincoln Sphere right now. But Zhao needs to start making some plays. He's got his Blink Dagger up now, so... the Batrider has to start being a threat, especially because the supports need a little bit of time to catch up. They did just give King J his level 6 down on bottom lane, so he's recovered a little bit, and Banana's now level 6 as well, so they're looking a little bit healthier, but yeah, this Bat has to start, doing things.
This smoke needs to work as well. They're going to go for a 3-man smoke. It looks like they're pinging towards this bottom lane, but they're going to walk possibly... Oh, Vici Gaming going to come close by. Batrider's there with the Blink Lasso, but I don't think this is what he wants to do. He doesn't get the Blink off. His Blink gets cancelled, the arrow not been hit as well, Stampede being used here, and it's going to be Vici Gaming who loses Centaur to start the fight. The Serpent Ward's being dropped now, Banana getting low. Super now shows up, so a 2-for-1 trade so far. Only Centaur going down. Fenrir going to draw the aggro of some neutrals, not sure that's what he wants to do. The Morphling going to wave him down. Meanwhile, the main fight going on here, the Storm Spirit shows up, brings down one. That's a dead Weaver, and with Weaver down, this is going to be hard for the Ember Spirit to fight. He's on his own completely now. Actually, no, Mirana's still there. Forced to leap out of this one. Ember Spirit goes back to the Serpent Wards, trying to keep himself alive with those. He goes down, gives the Morphling 800 gold. No, sorry, the Storm Spirit 800 gold. How now? He's on the run. Newbee. Need to be a bit careful here. Weaver actually bought back for that one. Time-lapse into the fight, it looks like, and Banana also back now in the bottom lane. A bit of a messy team fight, and I'd say slight edge goes Newbee's way there. Not entirely sure what to make of that one, Base Skip.
I think the biggest deal is the buyback on the Weaver not really accomplishing anything.
And the Ember Spirit's kill streak giving Storm Spirit 800 gold.
Yeah, a couple of nice kills for the Ember, of course. Like, he's got some nice gold banked up after that. But also, a little bit of good luck. I think he picked up a DD right as the fight broke out, or he had a DD bottled.
Yeah, I think it was bottled
so
from earlier.
Yeah, he sort of trashed the 2 supports right at the very start.
Radiant's middle tower is under attack.
Well, there's a bit of action here after a fairly slow start to the game. And we've got Vici Gaming. It's kind of a bit of a wake-up call for them that they do need to be careful. They haven't got the blink on RTK, which is where that fight doesn't go too well. RTK just has the kind of stampede in and try and hope for the best. He looked really squishy that fight. They completely blew him up so fast. But they are going to smoke up now, sit behind Super at this bottom lane, and once again it's the same maneuver. Smoke towards into that enemy jungle, but this time Newbee are not having any of it. They've made their own way towards the mid-tier 1 tower.
Yeah, and I really wonder why Sylar is... I mean, I think Sylar has to move with this team a little bit because since his Lincoln Sphere has been slowed down, he's not safe from the Batrider ganks at all. But at the same time, if he moves around with this team, he's going to end up a little bit underleveled. And he's never really going to recover, I feel. So it's a damned if he does, damned if he doesn't a little bit here.
It does get a T1 tower, which is... he really needed it. Like you said, the buyback was painful for him, but Newbee are getting not just they're getting a couple T1s, mid lane as well as top lane, both being pressured now, but both teams actually going for a bit of a trade here. Nice decision from Vici Gaming, I feel, to just try and commit to this tier 2. They can get this as well. This is going to be a good trade for them.
Yeah, they're behind after that last fight for sure, so they just want to trade up and try and finish this Lincolns as quickly as they can, I think.
There is a Lincolns on Morphling now, so 16 minutes in the game. Treads, Aquila, 1 Lincolns. This is free farm and more as far as Morphling's concerned. He is absolutely massive, a good 2.5k net worth ahead of the Weaver. And not done. They're not just pressuring the tier 1 top, they want to get the tier 2, and defending this is not going to be the easiest thing in the world. Vici Gaming are going to start TPing in heroes. Mirana the first one to go. Does have a Moonlight Shadow if they want to try and use that to engage, but Newbee, tier 2 looks already dead. There's no glyph here, and this tier 2 will go down. Morphling gets the kill. Ember Spirit trying to look for some retaliation here. Going to fire on it forward. Not finding too much here. There's a nice Searing Chain. Going to catch Zhao Wei. Is the follow-up there. RTK blinks in with a hoof stomp, but he's going to get Finger of Death down. Oh, King J does a lot of damage here. The Weaver actually going to try to finish off the Batrider. Batrider now running down the cliff here in the Firefly. One last Gemini attack will follow him down. It's not going to be... he gets a double kill. The Batrider and the Storm both go down to Sylar. That Gemini attack really doing some work. Triple kill now for Sylar. He wants Fish as well. How's on the run. He's hexed up. He's morphed everything to strength. There's nothing left to morph. Can Waveform TP, and it looks like that will be the call to action. Waveform, any Searing Chains, anything to cancel it. They're going to get another kill. Team wipe. Vici Gaming just too strong.
Another double damage rune for Super. Like, that's 2 team fights, 2 double damage runes.
That's disgusting.
Yeah, that really is, especially on Ember Spirit.
He's level 12 now as well. Like that fight was so big for Ember Spirit and Weaver.
Yeah, and it looked pretty bad after... So RTK had just picked up his Blink Dagger, and it looked like he was going to catch Newbee a little bit off by surprise, but King J with a really nice counter initiation. Mu has his Orchid, but RTK too tanky, so not going to get anything out of that first gank.
That's all of Storm's mana as well. He's got to be a bit careful. He backs off. Does have a decent mana regen from an Orchid, but... RTK's Blink Dagger was the key thing there. Having that Blink Dagger up really meant they got that good initiation onto the Batrider. They didn't kill him immediately. And sure, RTK goes down to the Finger of Death, but that's saving one of his teammates from that same fate. Like, if that Finger of Death is on someone like the Weaver or the Ember Spirit, you lose the fight. RTK much more expendable.
Yeah, he soaked up a solo Earth Spike, I think, and the Finger of Death. So that made a lot of space for Super to be able to just clean up the fight like we saw.
Well, I'm looking for a Blink initiation here in mid lane. They are smoked up. Storm Spirit needs to be a little bit careful. They're running forward for this one. Blink, hoof's not moved, doesn't react in time, and he's going to get blown to pieces here in the mid lane. Banana and King J also caught out. There's going to be a Shackles on Banana. Weaver as well as the Mirana are going to finish him off. The Starstorm is there, and that's King J dead as well. They've lost 3. They lose the Centaur once again, but this Centaur, we've said it before, he's very expendable. Fenrir now on the run. Waveform forward. How's going to get the kill there? So they actually end up trading fairly evenly, but Searing Chains on 2. The Arrow going to finish off RTK now. Morphling has a relocate, so he gets himself out of the top lane, or a replicate.
Radiant's courier has been killed.
Oh, they lose the courier mid as well, so I think the Serpent Ward's having their way with the courier mid, and 4 for 2. Vici Gaming just exchanging and teamfighting better than their opponents right now.
4 for 2 and a tower and a courier and the glyph and maybe some more damage on this tower. So really nice trade for Vici Gaming. And so many cooldowns just continue to be used on RTK. He blinked in, he stomped, he double-edged, he got the stampede off. And then after he'd used everything, Xiaowei blinks in and lassos him. And I think RTK was sitting there smiling to himself. He's like, yeah, lasso me for sure. I really don't mind. I'm going to let my Weaver and my Ember Spirit do their job.
He looks like a feeder this game. He's the lowest level on the Dire team. Tied with the Mirana at level 9. His farm is absolutely abysmal, but he's creating a lot of space in these fights. Like, even his score, he's 1 kill, 2 assists. He's only been in 3 of these 17 kills, but he's done so much more than that just by soaking up spells, and he's creating the space that Ember Spirit and the Weaver need to just go ham in these fights.
Yeah, he's dying at the start of every fight, but that's his job. So,
yeah.
You know, props to RTK doing a good job.
Feeds.
Yeah, definitely the tactical feeds.
Speaking of, well, tactics, this Ember Spirit's 9, 2, and 7. He's been getting involved in absolutely every single kill, apart from 1 right now. There's Blink Lasso, not going to find him. RTK. Oh, not sorry, RTK. Xiaowei. I think bat riding like, RTK in the same game and just assume it's RTK, but no, Xiaowei's not finding the pick he was looking for there.
And Newbee just trying to apply some pressure. They've got definitely the lockdown and the pickoff power to be able to kill the Ember. They've got the Orchid now up on the Storm Spirit. They've got the Blink Lasso. They've got King J with all of his lockdown. So, well, things are looking all right as far as that's concerned. But just the execution in the 5v5 fights has not been going their way. They've ended up being pretty scrappy, and that's where the mobility from Sylar and from Super has really been carrying them through.
This is a dead Roshan. Vici Gaming, Moonlight Shadow their way in. Mirana did reveal herself for like a second to fire the arrow, but the Radiant Ward is too far away, so Serpent Ward's on the ground. This will be an easy Roshan, and I guess Super picks this one up. I don't think it's worth having 2 lives on RTK, so probably see the Ember Spirit take this. There we go. The Centaur going to scout it out way too late. Not that there was anything they could have done even if it did scout it out, so Vici Gaming up 17 kills to 10 here in game 1 of the best of 3, and looking really good now with an Aegis on their side, as well as Lincoln's finished on Sylar. They've got most of their core items up that they need.
God, did you see RTK pinging out the one random Serpent Ward that ended up outside of the pit? He's like, look, you gotta have all the snakes in the pit, otherwise you're gonna give away these Roshans in future. But fortunately, like you said, this Observer Ward is not quite in range to scout some stuff out.
Even if they had an Observer Ward which scouted them out as soon as they went in the pit, I don't think contesting it was really well. You've got a Bat Rider who can pick people off, but the problem was Newbee were all at the top lane, like near where the T1 tower is, for the Dire side. They were in the worst possible position to be contesting Roshan, which is, I think, a mistake to begin with, because you know that Vici Gaming can go into that Roshan pit. You do not want to be positioned up near that top lane when Roshan can be getting taken.
Yeah, and Rasta is just such a nice self-contained Roshan kill. Like, you don't really need to have any other minus armor or Roshan killers on your team. You have the Serpent Wards, you have 1 or 2 heroes to tank it. That's job done. So
yeah. And whatever your carry may be, like your drafts is going to have some kind of carry, even if it's on a good Roshan killing carry. And Xiaowei, he lost a gem. That's disaster. Mu tried to zip in, but he didn't even have an item slot to take up the gem. Meanwhile, yeah, that's a free gem, and that's actually a really big loss, I feel. Like, that's a huge mistake from Xiaowei.
Yeah, just going for the D ward when I don't think they could see anybody from Vici Gaming on the map at that point while he was going for that. So a little bit overzealous. And then the ward, to add insult to injury, just fades a few seconds later anyway. It only had like 20 seconds of life left.
Oh, Lion, he's playing with fire here. Leap after him. Lion's got no blink or anything to get out of this one. King J, he's donezo. Easy kill. They use a lot of big spells for him. The Moonlight Shadow, as well as leaping after him and committing a lot for that kill, but they'll take it anyways. And oh, now there is a shotgun up on the Morphling. This is kind of like the last hope for Newbee in some ways. Like, after losing that gem on the Batrider, okay, not the last hope per se. Like, they've still got a good late game with Batrider Morph playing Storm Spirit, but with how the last 10 minutes have gone, this shotgun needs to do some work.
Yeah, they just need to find a better initiation as well, like Storm Spirit and Batrider.
They've got a Blink Lasso going to catch up the Shadow Shaman. Fenrir should be pretty dead here. Neski going to get himself out. The Stampede movement speed gets himself a double kill using the Ether Shock. Buyback coming out from the Enchantress. Morphling getting low now. He needs to be careful. He's got no waveform for a couple of seconds. How he gets the waveform off, just barely gets out of there. Super's now on the high ground. Once Moo will get leaping forward. Once Fish, it looks like Howix got arrowed up, brought down. Now the Aegis going to proc. Storm Spirit buys back, looking for this Mirana. Will get the Mirana. That's a gem on the ground now as well, but with Ember Spirit back up, good Searing Chains move, but not going to do so. Ooh. He misses the Searing Chains, unfortunately, but hey, they're on the high ground now. They're chipping away at this tier 3 tower, and gem was recovered by Moo. That's the good news for a Newbee, but they lose 5 and they buy back the Storm Spirit, so that's not good.
Yeah, and looks like they bought back the Enchantress as well.
Yeah, that was like the very start of the fight. I think Enchantress bought back, and not exactly a good hero to be, like, one of the hero that you need buying back to start a fight anyways.
So Newbee just really not getting anywhere in terms of farm. These team fights from Vici Gaming have just been so much better executed, and that's another fight where Jowett, he found Fenrir, but the Serpent Wards were already used, and you know, with his dying gasp, he threw out an Ether Shock and killed 2 people. So
that was a thing of beauty. But yeah, that's the thing. Like, you Blink Lasso someone, you're expecting to kill them nice and fast. If it's a carry, maybe you have to invest quite a few spells. But a hero like Shadow Shaman, you Blink Lasso, you want them dead so that he can't cast a single spell in a team fight. And he got off a lot in that team fight, a lot more than he should have been allowed to.
Yeah, and the Serpent Wards were already down when Jowett jumped him. So the biggest aspect of the hero was already, out there and ready to go.
Vici Gaming pick up a couple big items now. They've got BKB on the Centaur as well as the Weaver. I mean, speaking of Weaver, this is one of the girlier Weaver builds you can go. Lincolns plus BKB. Oh man, he's gonna be staying alive a while in these fights at least.
Yeah, I think his job in these fights is honestly just track down the lion and then beat him to death within the duration of the BKB, and that's perfectly reasonable for him to accomplish.
Well, they're going to invis themselves onto the high ground here. Where's that gem? It's on the Batrider, and he's actually not nearby. King J could just get caught out here. King J's got no escape. There's a blink forward from the Centaur. Stampede used as well. King J's as good as dead. This is not the place we want to be blinking into. Xiaowei uses blink and Force Staff. On the high ground he goes, gets caught up by a swarm here. Arrow not going to hit anything except a neutral creep. Now just going to waveform himself out of there, and it looks like, oh, Centaur. Blink to the high ground. Moo was actually there waiting for him, so. Just the one kill on the Lion, but Vici Gaming just want to make sure they had their bases covered there when they used the Stampede when they were initiating in.
Yeah, just a freebie for Vici, no real retaliation from Newbee. They've also been pretty much just bringing the Morphling along for all of the 5-manning as well, so Hao hasn't actually been able to split push all that much and try and break up the map. I think it's fine that he's doing that just because there aren't that many towers to threaten. There's only the tier 2 mid, and that's just a little bit difficult to constantly be applying pressure to, but he could maybe be getting a little bit more farm and just leaving a replicate with his team while they're off 4-manning around.
His replicate just scouting things out for the time being here, but Vici Gaming pick up a 3rd BKB now as Ember Spirit goes for a BKB after his Battle Fury, so won't just get that extra bit of survivability. He's 11, 2, and 13. I can understand not wanting to go down in a fight when he's got a score like that right now. He's proven to be the crucial kind of playmaking hero. And for Vici Gaming, I don't think they're expecting this game to end anytime soon. It feels like they're really gearing up towards the late game, like getting these BKBs for later on. Sylar going for 2 defensive items. Will probably go for an actual damage item next, be it the MKB, be it the Desolator, whatever it is, but he needs some damage item before Vici Gaming can really stand and fight, I believe. And even the Mirana support here is going to have a Lincoln Sphere, which is great against the Batrider. You can cast his Lincolns on your teammates, so this is actually a really nice little pickup coming out of FY.
Radiant's top
yeah, and it's always so difficult when you've got multiple Lincolns. If you see the Lincolns used on someone that is carrying a Linken's as well. It's like, well, does he have two? Does he have the buff from somebody else and his own, or is he just used his own Linken's on himself? So a little bit of mind game potential there.
Okay. Well, we were going to get a tower at the top lane, and then TP's back. So Vici Gaming position themselves there once again near Roshan. And with Roshan respawning in the next 2 to 3 minutes, this is probably the right place to be. Newbee are more so on the back foot here, but at the same time they've got one decent ward here on the other side of the map. As for Vici Gaming, with the gem picked up back in the Batrider's hands, they've got no vision whatsoever. So we're kind of getting to one of those kind of late game scenarios where neither team gets much vision because both teams have such great just de-warding potential. Is there a gem on the... No, there's no gem on the Dire side. Just the one on the Radiant Batrider, but that's preventing Vici Gaming getting any vision up right now.
Yeah, and this is where the pickoff power for Newbee can start to make maybe a little bit of a resurgence, but at the same time they have been baited a little bit up until this point as well. So yeah, we'll see how cautious they're going to be. I think the other thing for Vici Gaming, you mentioned that this game might go long, and honestly, I think that there's not really that much incentive for them to try and end this game quickly. The only person that they're afraid of is maybe the Morphling,
yeah.
But the longer the game goes, the greater the potential that the Ember Spirit just one-shots everybody aside from the Morphling in the team fight, and then they can just quite easily focus him down at the end. Like, the Enchantress isn't getting that scary, Bainan doesn't really have anything, he's only level 9. The Lion is just super squishy. Like we said, he can just get chased down by the Weaver with his BKB up in every single fight, and I mean, the Batrider's doing okay
now. Yeah. Batrider's one of those amazing late game heroes though. Like, he's not a late game carry, but he's the, like, to me, like the best late game hero that's not a carry in a lot of ways. Like,
well, if you have damage, right, to utilize the lockdown, I think is the big
I mean, a Morphling with a shotgun and the Storm Spirit to back you up, so I think there's decent enough damage, but he needs to also get that level 16. He wants to get a BKB up. He needs more than just what he's sitting on right now.
Yeah, and even with all that, I think you still favor Vici Gaming for the late game.
Yeah, they seem to be in I mean, they're on the Dire side to begin with here. That's maybe going to be a pick up top lane. How? He's being chain disabled here. He's going to get brought down. Really nicely played. The Blink Hoof Stomp followed up by Fenrir, breaking his Linken's and then shackling him up. And they get a snipe on the Morphling. That's unfortunate for How. He did not see that one coming.
Yeah, and Roshan's up. It's been scouted by both teams, but unless they buy back on the Morph, there's just no chance, I think, for Newbee to defend this. And I think they're just going to have to give it away. Just try and grab a little bit of farm in the meantime and just let the Morphling respawn. So huge pickoff for Vici.
You buy back Morphling, and I don't even know if you can contest it. So it's probably
it's just going to take him way too long to get over there.
Just keep firing arrows and bringing down Roshan little bit by little bit. We'll see if Super's going to be grabbing this once again, or if they decide to maybe give an Aegis to Sylar. Sylar has picked up a Demon Edge, so I guess just MKB out of this. Daedalus
I think so.
Possible, but I think MKB is the more standard way to build your Weaver here.
I'm a little bit surprised not to see a Deso, but I guess he's planning for the long game, maybe thinking that Morphling's going to end up picking up a B-Fly at some point.
Because I feel like MKB is never a cost-efficient damage item unless you're against evasion. Like, if your opponent's not getting any evasion, there's always a better... it's almost always better to go Desolator, Daedalus, whatever it may be. I don't know. But
yeah, this is actually really nice against Morph, because if you catch him and he's morphing strength, then he's just losing all of his armor. Yeah. So the Desolator really helps you chunk away at him, and it means that his EHP isn't shifting that much as he's morphing out. It's still going up, but it does help to bring him down pretty quickly.
Yeah. Well, we'll see Vici Gaming now with Aegis on their side. They want to actually maybe consider about pushing the high ground. They got 3k gold on the Ember Spirit. He's got the second life with the Aegis, and Morphling just trying to create a bit of a distraction here in the mid lane, but Vici Gaming are ready to try and breach this, and with Surfer Mods they can just plop them down and at least get some damage on this tier 3 tower, and they'll do just that. Weaver with the Surfer Mods, with the right clicks coming out from Super, they've got big damage, and there's your MKB for Weaver, so he's got no Aegis here. He may be the target they try and go for, but Linken's on himself, and that's double Linken's on the Weaver, it looks like. Shotgun going to be used just on the Mirana.
Radiant's bottom tower has
I think Weaver's like trading Lincolns here with the Mirana, like using Lincolns on each other right now as the Rax is now exposed. The tier 3 tower brought down. Storm going to zip in with the BKB. The Hoofstomp does get dodged. Now there's a BKB from the Centaur. Stampede forward. They want Banana. It looks like Banana's just going to get torn to pieces. Poor little Bambi. Next is the Morphling who's forced away from away. There's a lot of damage up on the Weaver. They bring him down before he can actually do any damage. He can't even get off his time lapse, and now Batrider the next take a fall. They've lost 3 here. Batrider going to buy back. Oh, how? You've got to get out of here. You cannot afford to go down. He's got a Manta style now as well. And Rax is exposed. Weaver may be dead, but they say we can get these Raxes regardless. And looks like Vici Gaming, they may be right, or they may have to back up. This is going to be close. Batrider has got no lasso. Going to just blink himself forward, and Vici Gaming decide they get cold feet. Let's back off.
They could have invested the Aegis to, I think, finish up the lane of Rax, but there's not really much reason not to just back off, hold on to the Aegis for the next 5 minutes or the next 4 minutes that you have it, and then just go back with the Weaver again.
Go back with the Weaver and Serpent Wards, and they'll be good to go. Like that was pretty easy, uncontested tier 3 tower plus half of your Raxes down at this bottom lane. So it cost Newbee a lot to defend that one. They had to use a Batrider buyback, and if they didn't burst down the Weaver in that lasso, he gets off a time lapse, and it's definitely Raxes and possibly GG if Newbee get team wiped by the Weaver. So that was a very close hold by Newbee. They almost get taken. They almost just lose the game straight up there.
Yeah, and Vici only get stronger. I mean, they're about to pick up some more items. Super can grab a crit or whatever he's going for next. The Mirana could even end up picking up an item pretty soon. Looks like it might just be an AC or a Mjolnir. Yep. Mjolnir would be great to throw over on the Centaur, who has 3.7k gold of his own, so he's going to have something new. And by comparison, Newbee bought back on the Batrider, so that's going to slow down his BKB, and nobody else really got all that much done. I mean, How does now have a Manta style up, but we'll see if that's going to be enough for it to start turning fights.
There's a very late blink from the Lion, but you compare him, like Lion with a blink dagger at 35 minutes, to like your support Shadow Shaman. Famer is sitting on 8k net worth. He's got blink, 4-stuff, and Ghost Scepter with Arcane Boots. Like, this is your 5-position Shadow Shaman right now in action. So your Mirana sitting on 10k net worth. This is truly like 5 heroes all with great farm for Vici Gaming. They make sure the distribution is there rather than investing everything into one hero.
Yeah, and I think Lion feels pretty sad looking at Finger of Death in comparison to Mass Serpent Wards. It's like, doesn't seem like a very fair trade. When in a lot of other respects, they're pretty similar as supports.
Nope. We'll see Vici Gaming. They've got numbers now towards this bottom lane. Just missing out on the Ember Spirit, but he can make his way down bottom just now if he wants to. And with Raxes already fairly low as well as exposed, I think bottom lane should be the lane they try and breach. Mid lane, though, they're going to go in for a fight here. BKB, ROTK pops it. Double Edge going to catch up. 2 heroes. Move's getting really low. Storm Spirit's dead. Trades for the Shadow Shaman's life here, but the Morphling now needs to be careful as well. He's got a waveform in a couple of seconds. Waves in the trees. TP's out. Searing Chains. Oh, the blink hoof stomp was so close. That was half a second too late.
So BKB on Show 8. 2 BKB for the Morphling.
That's a pretty... This is going to maybe help them actually hold on here. Double BKB suddenly picked up. There's no Serpent Wards to defend this. The arrow goes flying through and probably should scout some of those BKBs if they were keeping track of the high ground. No.
Yeah, they've only got to hold for a minute to get rid of this Aegis, so we'll see how...
Batrider tried to go in. He used a lasso as well on the Lincoln Sphere. There's no lasso for this site. Centaur blinks into an Impale. Nicely played by King J. Now he gets a Hoof Stomp off. He will get 1 kill on the Lion, but pays for it with his life. Mirana forced to leap on out. Morphling trying to chase with his BKB. And still no Storm Spirit. Sylar getting low. He's got a time up still on Lion. Ember Spirit. He's used his Aegis. He's going to go down. It looks like Super's got no escape. He dies twice in the fight, and now Weaver's forced to run away. Moo can't keep up with him. Doesn't get the Orchid off. Doesn't have the gem. Gets a little bit of vision, but not enough as Sylar. He'll get home, but his teammates not so lucky. Pushing without the Serpent Wards, pushing without the Shadow Shaman proves to be a fatal mistake for Vici Gaming there.
Yeah, really nice hold from Newbee. I thought things were going to go south really quickly after Xiao 8 got kind of faked out. Because I don't know if you caught it, but they tried to use the Adaptive Strike to pop the Lincolns, and then he was going to jump in and go for the lasso. But I think he actually popped the Lincolns that the Mirana had put on the Weaver. So he still had
double Lincolns.
Yeah, double Lincoln tactics. But they hold against an Aegis, and well, Morphling's getting scarier, so it looks like Newbee kind of finding a foothold back into this game.
Yeah. Well, they've got the late game, like, the better late game carry, in my opinion, like, in the Morphling, but, like, looking at the big picture, they do get somewhat outshined by a Tricol lineup in Weaver, Ember Spirit, and I would even say Mirana. At this point, Mirana is actually looking like a true late game core hero, with a lot of farm on FY. You can start. I mean, I think the Mjolnir is the way to go. I think going for an Assault Crest to get another aura for your team is not going to offer anywhere near as much as the Mjolnir does.
Yeah, definitely not. Mjolnir's crazy. The static charge can hit people up to 1,800 units away because it's 900 units to the person that procs it, and then it's a 900 AOE around that person. So it's just everywhere in the fight.
Yeah. Well. As things stand here, it looks like Vici Gaming just going to try and march on forward a bit. They put down a Fire Emblem into Roshan, but that's not going to be respawning for at least another 30 seconds. I think that's what Vici Gaming realized. Like, sure, that last fight or two didn't go too well for them, but they're in a much better position to just control the Roshan pit. They want to try and just get some good vision up. I think wards were flying out. Yeah, wards are flying out now for Fenrir. They're trying to de-ward here with the gem. Yeah, the gem's still up on the central, so they're making sure their opponents have no vision around Roshan. They'll get some vision of their own and hope to secure this next Roshan when it comes up in however many minutes time. 40 seconds, so a pretty fast Roshan respawn.
Yeah, and Hao is playing so much more conservatively after he got caught out split pushing on top lane. He realizes now that there is a chance that Vici can burst him from full to nothing, even if he has a replicate and his BKB up. You know, he needs to react to the first stun, otherwise he'll just get comboed.
Yep. Well, for Vici Gaming, they'll slow things down even further, and they should see Roshan fairly soon. Actually, this is the Radiant team. They've got double neutral creeps, and their Enchantress is continually sending creeps. So Newbee want to contest this, it seems. They're sending as many neutral creeps as they can into the Roshan pit, and there we go. It respawns. Enchantress gets the information they need, and this means Newbee, if they see Vici Gaming go missing for long periods of time, they'll be smoking up and heading probably towards that Roshan to contest it.
And Hao did a really good job, gets top lane pushed out. They can deal with mid lane as a team. Bottom lane is even actually pushing out in favor of the Radiant right now. So lanes are in a good spot, but I don't think there's any chance that they can try and sneak the rush. But the one thing that they can do is just sit here, keep on pressuring bottom lane with the Morphling with the replicate up. The team can pressure mid, and we probably end up in a little bit of a Roshan standoff for a bit.
Yep. Well, make Newbee. They've just holding themselves now in their own jungle here, and like you say, it is a well and true Roshan standoff. Arrow going to help out. There we go. They're actually going to go into the pit here. Newbee, they've got numbers here fairly close by. They smoke up. Do they make a full go for this one? Morphling, he needs to get there soon as well. He's got 5k gold. He can even buy back into this one if he needs to, but Roshan's dropping fast. Xiaowe's got to make a play with the Batrider. He's got the BKB. He goes forward. King J as well, taking a ton of damage. He gets blown up to start the fight. Storm Spirit just zips on the high ground, tries to get himself out of the fight. Roshan getting low. Storm's going to try and take this Aegis, it looks like. Centaur gets another kill. Storm still got the vision. He wants this Aegis. Can he get it? No, he doesn't. Picked up by the Ember Spirit. Storm forces zip away. The shotgun comes through, blows up the Mirana. Morphling now on the run. He's still got plenty of HP and mana for now, but he's in a lot of trouble. There's 4 heroes surrounding him. The Shackles is there, and this is going to be the death of Hao. He goes down. 3 heroes dead. I think the Batrider didn't actually even die that fight, but what a one-sided fight. Vici Gaming get themselves Aegis and get themselves a nice teamfight victory.
Yeah, very nicely done by Vici. Poor King J. He blinked in. He was like, time for big impales. They're all trapped in the pit. I think he took almost like 60% of his hit points to the Stampede damage, and then just fell over right after.
I don't think he wanted to just go YOLO blinking into the pit there. I think he needed to just wait for a bit more of like a finesse move and catch someone on the side, or at least wait for the fight to stop before he goes blink impaling in. Like, leave that for the Batrider and the Storm Spirit with their BKBs to start the fight properly. But it was a tricky position to be in nonetheless. They saw how low Roshan was, and they really felt like they had to get in there as fast as possible to contest.
Yeah, so Vici Gaming, because they got repelled on that push bottom lane, I wonder if they're just gonna sit back now and farm up a little bit more. I mean, Sylar is already his inventory is starting to look pretty stacked, but you can always get BOTs, you can always, give the cheese to somebody else and maybe pick up a heart. The Ember Spirit still has room to grow as well, so I guess Vici Gaming might just play it pretty conservatively here. Maybe farm for 3 minutes. They'll probably still try and get something out of the Aegis, but I don't know. We'll see.
Not just Aegis, but yeah, cheese as well for Weaver. So Weaver with Butterfly MKB. This to me looks like they may get Raktas off of this. How many buybacks have we got for the Radiant side? There is one on the Batrider and the Storm Spirit. No buyback from Morphling, and knowing the Morphling buyback is on cooldown, I think they realize if they take a fight, kill this Morphling, they pretty much straight up won. They've got Aegis and cheese to try and do so, to get Raktas, to kill Morphling in the process, and if they do that, it could be game in the bag for Vici Gaming.
Yeah, it looks like they're just going to go for it. I mean, How might be able to get them to reconsider a little bit with some split pressure top, but no, it looks like they're just deciding, okay, this is a free lane of Rax, more or less.
Yeah, Shadow Shaman just runs forward, drops the Serpent Wards, can back off after that. The Glyph is being used here, but I think Newbee almost just have to sack these Raxes. At least the range Rax is going to go down. Serpent Wards are not focusing the Rax now. There we go. They will get the range Rax. Melee Rax could maybe be kept alive if they take out the Serpent Wards, but still do so. Moonlight Shadow being used here, looking for an initiation. Is there going to be a Searing Chains coming out? The Batrider could be the target for it. There's going to be actually Arrow hitting out How. Takes a lot of damage here. ROTK going to fall with the Hoof Stomp. How taking... Oh, he's taking so much damage. Waveform's home. He's got to get back to that fountain. He needs heal up soon. The Ember Spirit going to go charging forward. He wants these kills. It's going to be a Ethereal Blade. Shotgunning down Super. The Lincoln's getting procced out. He doesn't use the lasso. Good thing for Zhao. He saves it, but unfortunately he's going to go down. Moon now zips in, zips out, back to the fountain. He's got to hide. He's got to just stay the hell out of this one. As ROTK now leads the retreat from Vici Gaming. They got what they came for. They got the Rackers and possibly going to go for some more here as they swing towards mid lane. With Batrider dead for 80 seconds. He's got no buyback. Lion as well, also on the sidelines here. There's a blink forward. Banana going to get taken out to start things off. Moo getting really low as well. Waveform in from the Morphling. This is do or die, it feels like, for Newbee. How with the BKB? He's trying to fight his way out of this one. Brings down the Shadow Shaman. Forces out the Aegis as well. Super now, not hitting the Searing Chains. He's now on the run as he Fire Remnants out of there. And Morphling is holding the mid lane. Just barely. Shadow Shaman. He TP's in. Boots of travel. Shadow Shaman wants to end this game. He says, I'm coming soon. And with Morphling this low, he's going to go back to fan. He's going to heal up. And Serpent Wards will be dropped mid. And this Batrider's got such a long respawn time because of that last buyback base get.
Yeah, and Vici Gaming, they've still got the cheese up over on the Weaver. Super is still looking reasonably healthy, so... Oh, shotgun!
What was that? The timing could not have been better. Unfortunately, Newbee, they're going to pay for this with their life. That's a dead Morphling, and that's a buyback from your Ember Spirit. He wants some revenge. He's chasing, but he's not going to chase Storm Spirit back to the fountain. GG is called. Oh my.
Oh yeah, he's totally healthy. Boom.
That was full HP as well. That was a big shotgun with the Morphling's damage output.
Well, Morph didn't have buyback, the Ember Spirit did, so he went at it. And...
That's where Vici Gaming was so happy to just pressure and end the game there, because they knew that there was no buyback on Morphling. They had the Serpent Wards coming once again from the Shadow Shaman, so hey, there was nothing really more that I feel Newbee could have done there to hold. Like, they just, once they used that Morphling buyback, it was also a game where it came down so much to Vici Gaming being on that dire side with the Roshan advantage, I feel.
Yeah, I think if Newbee were going to win, I think the big problem for them was just the mid-game initiation didn't work out the way that they were hoping. They had the Blink, they had the Orchid, and it just didn't... It wasn't winning them fights at all. Vici Gaming were jumping in headfirst with RTK. He was soaking up all of the spells, and then Super with his DD rune every fight was turning things around. So yeah, I think that was really the big problem for Newbee. And if you look at their draft as well, they were definitely hoping to just steamroll with the initiation, start closing out the game, really get the full power out of the Enchantress. But as the game started to drag on, I just couldn't really do a heck of a lot of anything, and it was left to the Morphling to be the only really big late gamer that they had.
Just got to a point where like you kind of forgot the Enchantress was there, and the Enchantress didn't give them enough of an early game edge. The Batrider didn't really control the mid game, and end of the day, Newbee, they lose game one. It is a best of 3 here in the WVW. This is your quarterfinal best of 3 matchup. The winner of this will go through the semifinals to versus a team called Talent. But right now, and that's really where you look at this, the winner of this series is going to be pretty much guaranteed a spot in the grand finals against Hyper Glory team, which is another another matchup you'd expect either of these teams to take. So this is an important best of 3. Some decent prize money at stake. I think it's around 15 to 20,000 US dollars after you convert it. But game 1 going the way of Vici Gaming. Guys, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, myself, Gods, as well as Basekip, we're bringing you game number 2 between Vici Gaming and Newbee. Don't go anywhere.